Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Yes, I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and by George, I hope everybody's doing well. It's sunny out here in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon. It's just fantastic. Well, anyway, we're just going to get right into the program today. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to do some general subject matters. We're just going to talk about a number of issues. There are all kinds of things that are happening. I mean, maybe not spend so much on the national scene aspect of it. That's another situation in itself. The only thing I would say about that was the fact that the United Nations should be involved. That was part of the system, but I'm not going to go beyond that particular point because it's so divisive from the standpoint of sides. Everybody's got their different sides, and so we're not going to get into that part. But what we are going to talk about, we're going to begin the program by talking a little bit about the veterans, and for those of you who are watching and those families of veterans and loved ones, if you will, if you got a veteran at home with you, I just want to make a couple of comments in regards to what little advice to that piece. I happen to have another veteran that's sitting on the show, Don DePay. You know Don DePay. In fact, I did a rerun on one of the shows we did on the whole issue of Portland police. We did that with his wife Teresa. She's here with me. She's with us here today, Teresa DePay. And so we're going to talk a little bit about veterans, and then we're going to get into the local scenes, because there are some issues here locally that we need to talk about, and we're just going to go from there. And I'm sure we're going to probably have some other things. And then Don's coming out with a new book out. He's coming out with a new book. It should be coming off the printing press very shortly. We're going to probably do a show on that piece. And the author, the writer and author of that is with us, happens to be Teresa DePay. And then I'm sure she's got some things on her mind in regards to some of the things that she's doing. But I think we're going to have a very enjoyable time aspect of it. So with that, I'm just going to go on and basically introduce you to here's Teresa DePay, who's to my right on your left on the screen, but on my right on my right, otherwise, there's Teresa. And then Don, you've seen Don before. He's got his jacket on today for a change. He got his jacket on today, and that's neat. And he was a former detective with Portland Police, so he's been there for quite some time. And hopefully we can talk about some current event as what he feels about what's happening with police work today, and what police work's all about today compared to when he was on the force, and just get some comments about that piece aspect of it. So let's go on and start off right off the bat. Let me say this to the vet as far as opening up. I happen to have the Bible. This is a kind of a little Bible of the whole issue of benefits for veterans. And if you're a veteran with a DD 214 and honorably discharged, guess what? You need a Bible like this. And the way you can get one, I'll tell you that maybe later on in the show. But the bottom line, I want you to know how beneficial it is. It has anything and everything about accessing your benefits and whatever, and where to go, and burial rights, all kinds of goodies here in this unit. And so I will share with you this one particular number. It's called the Veterans Crisis Line. It's in this particular book here. And it's the first number. There's numbers are there, and the websites and all kind of. But it's the Bible. But I'm just saying, to start off with, if you're a veteran and you've been out the military and you've got an honorable discharge aspect of it, and you feel that you are deserving of benefits, you can call the Veterans Crisis Line as a start. Call them up, tell them who you are. They're going to ask you for your service number. Normally, if you were back then in the days when I was coming up, I had one number, 1983524. But today it's the Social Security number. It's the Social Security number today. So call up this crisis line number. That's 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255. Someone will pick up the phone, and you press 1, by the way, press 1, and they'll give you the stuff up front if you got any problems, or this, that, and the other, and then you just tell them point blank, you saw this guy named Bruce Broussard here in Portland, Oregon, and he's a veteran service officer at the VFW, Veteran of Foreign Wars, and he gave me your number, and he says this would be the start, if you will, of trying to get my benefits, the starting point. And yes, and then you just share with them, that you're a veteran. He'll ask you for your last four, tell them what your problems are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then he'll give you that. He'll basically say, okay, fine. He might say, well, okay, fine. You need eyeglasses. If you need eyeglasses, this is what you need to do. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Oregon. I live in Portland. Okay, fine. This is the location, and here's the phone number that you can call these people, and they'll set up an appointment for you, and you can get your glasses. If you got any physical problems with you, depending upon your MOS, that's military occupational skill. For those family members who have veterans in their home, they might be older or elder at this point in time, and may not share things with you. But the fact of the matter is, you can get on the phone too with them while you're there with the veteran, and share with them the fact that you represent a veteran, a husband or whatever, and a veteran in need. And then they'll ask you a few questions to get you certified, so to speak. And they'll ask you if you know that's veteran, and then they'll give you that information. So if the person may be saying, okay, fine, I need housing, or something to that nature, well, you can tell them about that. They'll give you a phone number in the location where you are. That's a good start. So I'm going to give you that much today, and then from that point on, I'm always been doing something like that. But again, that crisis number was 1-800-273-8255, press 1. Okay? All right. That's the piece for today. Let's set this on the side. And so now let's get into our discussion here.
You know, Bruce,
Talk to me.
one of the best decisions I ever made in my whole life was joining the Navy.
Okay.
I got to see a lot of the world. They say join the Navy and see the world.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. It's mostly water, but I saw it.
You saw the order?
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of the United States.
What was your MOS at that time? Military.
Cryptographic technique.
What now?
A cryptographic.
Cryptographic. What is that?
A Diddy
It's a
chaser.
fancy word for a spy.
A spy.
Diddy
You-
chaser.
Is that why you joined the Portland Police Department? You became
Yeah.
a detective?
Yeah.
You became a spy there. What were you?
But
Listening
I got
to
to see
the
a lot of
Russians.
Europe. Well, I got to see a lot of the United States.
Okay,
so-
good.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and the opportunities are still there. The draft was doing. I volunteered.
Yeah.
You volunteered. You had to, but otherwise, my point is that the opportunities are still there. It's quite a career path. If these young people out here, they don't have anything to do, if you will,
Yeah.
just call that recruiter and get in that deal. You know what I mean?
There are plenty of opportunities in the military for jobs where you're not getting shot at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if you get the right kind of job, it's relatively safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd do it again.
Right. Same here. We do it right now.
Yep.
Okay, you got me. Well, Don, let's get into some of the stuff from a local standpoint. Have you been keeping up with reference to our Portland police law enforcement aspect of it? What do you think?
Well, I know we got rid of the old chief of police and got a new chief of police,
Bob Day.
and I don't know anything about him.
Okay,
so-
okay. He was on a couple of times. He shared some thoughts, if you will. I thought he was very impressive. Again, he has a good background, and he communicates well. I like the way he communicates and his demeanor aspect of it. The only thing he didn't have a uniform on, you know what I mean. But he was dressed, but you could tell he did project as law enforcement. Unlike Lavelle, he had a uniform on. But again, he just didn't. He wasn't. I don't know. He just didn't fit. And but right away, it didn't fit from the standpoint, from my opinion, is that he shouldn't have been there, just sitting there in the mayor's office. He should have been with the troops.
Yeah.
You know, but the troops, unfortunately, they're the union rep. He's not in the union. If you're an officer, I guess they have that separate organization aspect of it. But the union rep, when you think about the union over there with the Portland Police are the person who's in charge is just dressed casually
Yeah.
and not even in a uniform.
Yeah.
And that they should project accordingly, because people are looking for public safety, and then that would be a start in terms of renewing, if you will, the respect, if you will, for the law enforcement piece, having a uniform on.
Yeah.
That's a start, because right now people are a little fearful of even wearing their uniform. You know,
Yeah.
it's a whole different deal. You want any comments on that, T?
Well, yeah. those are good things to talk about. I would like to talk about District Attorney Mike Schmidt and how
Okay.
inappropriate, and basically what a failure he's turned out to be, and that Nathan Vasquez is running for
Yeah.
the district attorney.
Yeah.
He's running against Schmidt. Some news is that 4 days ago, October 24th, a very violent offender, Vikia Pak, was released. He had been released multiple times by Mike Schmidt for armed robbery, attempted murder, all kinds of felonies, assault. And October 24th in the evening, he got drunk, got in his car, and he ran over a 66-year-old elderly man on the sidewalk on 82nd and Burnside and killed him on impact.
Wow.
And so PDX Real is an Instagram page run by Angela Todd and her husband, and they did a story on it just yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Several people have been killed because Mike Schmidt releases violent offenders. There was an elderly professor just a few months ago, Donald Pierce, was murdered by a violent offender that Mike Schmidt released. Did I say Mike Reese? Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, Mike.
And a woman named Rachel Abraham was murdered by her estranged boyfriend, husband, about a year and a half ago or so. Another result of Mike Schmidt releasing a violent offender. So there's all these people that have been murdered or run over by cars because Mike Schmidt does not prosecute criminals. And he continues to release violent offenders. And these violent offenders are killing Portlanders. They're shooting them, they're stabbing them, they're running them over with their cars. And so now we have a 66-year-old elderly man. His name was James Fenimore, and he's dead on impact, because Mike Schmidt kept releasing this repeat offender, a very dangerous, very violent offender who was threatening people as of last year with a knife. He was running around crazy, mentally ill, completely nuts, running around crazy with a knife and threatening people. And Mike Schmidt had continued to release him again and again, and this guy got in his car, got drunk, and ran over this elderly man October 24th of this year on 82nd and Burnside. And now we have the second elderly man to be killed in less than a year and a half because of criminals that Mike Schmidt is releasing. So Mike Schmidt is a danger to the Portland community, and Nathan Vasquez is running against him. He's running for the district attorney, and that will happen in May of 2024, and I encourage all Portlanders to vote for Nathan Vasquez. He's a longtime prosecutor. He understands how to maintain public safety in the city of Portland.
He's been there.
Yes.
He's been in that particular office for quite some time.
Yes, he has. He's got a history of 21 years in the DA's office.
Let me share a thought, just kind of a little balance piece aspect there. But a lot of times, what I've noticed that when they're constantly talking about the Smiths, and the way he reacts is if to say this is policy that he has to that he identifies with the policy that's already there, the books.
He's got his own ideas. He's got these ultra liberal ideas about not holding people accountable, making excuses for violent offenders. He's also gotten into a lot of trouble because there were 8 female attorneys in the district attorney's office who resigned, led by Amber Kinney, who has her own private practice now. Because he created such a hostile work environment for them, they felt so unsafe, they resigned. 8 women attorneys in the last year, along with a sex abuse advocate, also resigned. So 9 professional, college-educated women that were really an important part of the district attorney's office have left because of Mike Schmidt. He was found to be guilty, I believe, by the Bureau of Industry and Labor for gender discrimination. In other words, he's a sexist.
Wow. Okay.
And he's probably the worst district attorney that Portland has ever had. I mean,
I had an opportunity to meet Vasquez.
Good.
Yeah, met him.
Good.
Right up front with, he's not a politician.
Right.
And that's good. He's not a politician. Real nice guy.
Yeah.
You can see he's very intelligent. He understands the business aspect of it. And I was impressed from the standpoint the way he shared. What he shared was the fact that he was an experienced person. He'd been there for years,
Yes.
so he knows where the bones are hidden and all that other good
He's
stuff.
a working prosecutor.
He is a working
Yeah.
prosecutor, and so, but he was given the opportunity to speak and whatever. I've not had the opportunity. I chair. In fact, I'll probably have him on the show.
Yeah.
That's very good. And I'll invite Mike if he wants to come and you know, it's like anything else. You know, I mean, get the little
You can
balance.
invite him. He probably won't come.
What, he won't
on.
come?
Oh, no.
Well, okay, well,
He's under fire, and
Is that right?
he knows that his days are numbered in Portland. He's going to lose this election in next May, and Nathan Vasquez is going to mop the floor with him, as I like to say.
You know, the other thing I want to bring out, the point is that he comes under Multnomah County. When you
Yeah.
start thinking about the jailers, they are the jailers.
Yeah.
The county is the jailer. And you ask yourself the question, well, why hasn't the county kind of gotten involved and asked the same questions and concerns that you were talking to? Bring it to the county
Yeah.
board and whatever.
Yeah.
But they're having their problems. You know?
You know, what he's done is basically, Don explained this to me, it's malfeasance. DA Mike Schmidt is guilty of malfeasance. He's intentionally not doing his job. And he's just, he doesn't have a clue how to create public safety, how to maintain it. He doesn't understand why it's important. He's just got these radical, ultra-liberal ideas about giving everyone a fourth and a fifth and a sixth chance, even when they're predators, even when they're dangerous, cruel, sadistic predator offenders, and he's still releasing them, and they're going on to kill Portlanders.
Mike
Don,
Schmidt,
why don't you
Mike
share
Schmidt
that,
has
would you?
done a lot to demoralize
Yes.
the police department.
Yes.
Oh.
Because
Okay, right.
they're doing their job, arresting people,
Right,
and only be turned away by Mike Schmidt.
exactly.
That's very demoralizing.
Yep.
You know, it's a team. You have to have a prosecutor for the arrest. So he's not doing that.
Well, they're the
He
jailers.
demoralized the police.
Right, but the county is the jail. That's what I'm saying. You got to bring in either entities down at the county. We got a county commission, if you will,
Yeah.
with a chairperson and four other commissioners there.
Such as it is.
Why haven't they called him up in the front of the deal to ask those late questions?
I don't know. I mean,
They're afraid.
yeah.
Is that what it is?
They're afraid.
But-
Jessica Peterson is a big hot mess.
Jessica
She doesn't
Vega
know what
Peterson.
she's doing.
Yeah, she's just,
And
oh
she's
gosh.
not a leader. She would be no one to.
She was encouraging people to use all kinds of drug paraphernalia. It's called less
Yeah, so
harm
that-
or something,
yeah,
and it's just enabling. It's enabling drug use,
yeah.
including this practice called boofing, which is just obscene. And so she's come under a lot of fire for that. She's also come under a lot of fire because she just takes her sweet time.
Yeah.
She doesn't she's not proactive. She's too lackadaisical. She's too slow. You know, she's not doing her job, and so she's come under a lot of fire for that reason as well. And I agree. You know, I
If we
think
get a
she's
DA that prosecutes people and a police department that arrests people,
right.
we will get back on the right road.
If we could get back to 2018,
Yeah,
we'd
yeah.
be doing better. I mean, Portland has never been this dangerous and this lawless. You know, this feeling that it's just the wild, wild west, that anything goes. And there's also a lot of people talking about with Schmidt. The only time someone gets arrested is after they kill someone. So you can go out, you can assault people, you can steal cars, you can deal drugs, you can threaten to kill people, you can wave a gun around, you can do all these things that used to be felonies that would get you serious time in jail or prison. And he keeps releasing these people. The only time he has to prosecute or he has to put someone in prison is after they finally murder someone or kill someone with their vehicle. And that's what happened October 24th. So Mike Schmidt is a complete failure. He has let down Portland. He has destroyed his own career. And that's the other thing people don't understand. He literally has single-handedly destroyed his own career and his own reputation.
Well, you know,
Way to go, Mike.
you know, well, one of the things I was going to bring out, listening to what you're saying, I'm thinking from the standpoint of a layperson. Remember when Mike Reese was there?
Yeah.
Well, Mike was the, at that point in time, the sheriff, and then he basically went to an elected kind of a position. But he was very much involved. The county was very much involved.
Yeah.
He knew what the jailing business. He knew about
He's
that
a
piece.
pro.
Plus the fact,
He's terrific.
then we had Deborah Kafori that was there, so there was a relationship, and
Yeah,
she was
sure.
very much involved in the process. And I worked, basically I ran for office and that was not and whatever. But my point is that it was working at that
Yeah,
point in time.
sure.
But now Mike is since he organized that piece. In fact, he was former chief of police.
Yeah.
At one point in time, Portland Police. So then when he went up to deputy, to the county aspect of it, I thought that was great. But like you said, we do have a problem with the county.
Yeah.
As well. Now, what about Julia Brim Edwards? Now, Julia Brim just got on board. She was on the school board at one point in time. She's well known, and she's been very much involved in it. And I think her being being there now, there's some sense of leadership and directing things to the issues.
I'm not really too familiar with her.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that, but the bottom line, they should be knowledgeable about what their needs are, and that's a county position, if you will, as far as the DA is concerned.
There was this rumor that Mike Reese was going to run for mayor, and I was really hoping that he would.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to run for mayor because he would have been a shoo-in.
It was a shoo-in big time.
And he found something better, and I guess he's not going to do it, which is really disappointing because if he had run for mayor, he would have won.
Yeah.
But he probably has enough sense to know, do I want that job in Portland?
Well, he's given quite a bit of his life. He's given quite a bit of his family.
He has.
He wants to spend some time at home. You know what I mean?
But he got some kind of a different job, right?
Was he working?
Director of public safety for the prisons, I believe.
Yeah.
Public safety for the prisons.
Yeah, that's probably
a low key aspect of it. But he was quite a guy. You know what I'm saying?
Very accomplished.
So that's what I'm saying.
We've met him a couple of times.
We're in need of when you think about Mike Strunk. You think about the history of the DA's office. Mike was there for years.
Oh gosh, he was a legend.
He was a Marine, Don. By the way, he was a former Marine. I want to make sure I bring that up.
Yeah, it's very discouraging. That's the thing that's primarily on my mind. And I have a little bit of a following on Substack and on social media, and I've done some podcasts about Mike Schmidt, but he is such an absolute danger to the city of Portland because of his ignorance, because of how, and I've heard this from several people, he's really not that bright. I don't know why. He really misled the Portland public with this idea that he was going to, reduce crime and that we were going to focus on providing mental health assistance and drug treatment for these people. None of that happened. Measure 110 has been a colossal failure. None of this has happened. It's very discouraging, but getting Mike Schmidt out of office is the most important thing, and supporting Nathan Vasquez is the most important thing.
I like what you just shared, and et cetera, and I would hope that the commissioner would get back to, because it's a very important position to fill. And it would be neat to get to the public, lay this out to the public and lay it out to the race. So meaning that so Vasquez would understand what we're looking for too from the public standpoint, because it's a very serious situation.
It is a very serious issue, and what's funny is Mike Schmidt really is his own worst enemy. He was interviewed by Willamette Week, and he said, frankly, I grade myself quite highly, or something ridiculous like that. Gave himself an A. When I read that quote from the article, I had to laugh because no one else rates him highly because of his performance, because of what's happened. Since he's been the DA, crime has skyrocketed because he doesn't prosecute offenders, violent, dangerous offenders. So he's an F. He's not an A. He gets an F from me, and he gets an F from most of Portland.
Well, like you said, now you mentioned the media aspect of it, but again, I go right back to the commission. See, the commission's got to be more responsible. And I say, here's an opportunity, Chair Peterson, to get Mike to get before the commission. You guys have a good session on what he's done. What he's done and what's next, if you will, because it just so happened if all of a sudden he gets reelected, then we're right back where we started, the way we're talking now. So the key is that have the discussion now while you've got two entities that are vying for the position. He's lost a lot of followers on his Twitter page. I think he's going to lose. I really do, because
What I read recently was that Phil Knight from Nike gave I think it was a $10,000 donation to Nathan Vasquez, and Nathan Vasquez is $100,000 ahead of Mike Schmidt in donations. That says a lot. So his days are numbered. He's not going to win.
Well, but like I said, it's the issues that we're concerned with.
Yeah.
Got me?
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to make sure we focus a little bit more during this time period on the issues.
Yeah.
Get the issues to the table, and I'm saying it should go to the county first.
Yeah.
Right there, and have that discussion. Let them have a 2-hour discussion or whatever about the issues.
Yeah.
Put it on the table, and then boom. If you want to vie for that office, fine, go for it.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in the person. I'm interested in the issues.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Whoever sits in that seat now has to respond to some of the issues, the things that you were talking about. So, Chair Peterson, please, hope you get the hint. And if you'd like to, give me a call, 503-701-0457, and we'll schedule an appointment right here on the Voters Digest. Talk about this stuff. And T, you'd be there, wouldn't you?
Sure.
Good, no problem. Okay, good. Okay, that's a very important piece. And like you said, I wish Mike Reese all the luck in the world for his new position.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's a good deal, and we'll go from there. Now, we get that piece. Let's talk a little bit now about. We talked a little bit about Vasquez, right? We talked about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
We talked to him about aspect of it. Again, let's get back to the whole issue of the police work aspect of it, in terms of I guess my point is.
Did Mike Reeves take the job that Michael Frankie got killed for?
Michael. Oh gosh.
What's this now?
Oh yeah.
Didn't Mike Reeves just take the job that Michael Frankie got killed doing?
Michael Frankie was that was a while ago.
But he was superintendent, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a superintendent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, Mike.
Corrections.
That's no. I know he wouldn't.
Similar, I think, but yeah.
He wouldn't want to jump in that seat right off the bat. He just rather it'd be best for him to run for Congress. He could have run for Congress or anything along that particular line for this issue.
Well, that was a long. That Michael Frankie murder that happened quite a while ago. Yeah. It's a different world now, but
it's still kind of there.
Yeah.
It's just still on people's mind aspect of it. I don't know where that piece has.
Mike Reese is a very smooth guy. He knows how to deal with people. He knows how to communicate. He's very shrewd. He's a shrewd guy.
Let's talk about the city of Portland a little bit in terms of downtown and where we are. There were some shootings just now.
Oh yeah.
There's still constantly shootings aspect of it.
Sure.
And I'm still saying there's so much money that's being spent on picking up trash.
Right.
But there's no entity that tells these same people who at one point in time wouldn't throw trash out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to feed a person knowing for a fact they've got to use the restroom, knowing for a fact they got to get rid of the garbage aspect of it, and there's no one talking to, i.e. educating those folks, getting them back to the point where they will use the cans that are there. We used to have cans that were there, and i.e. Basically they're going to need some restrooms down there.
Well, most of the trash, I think, is from a lot of the homeless camps.
Because, but still, it's food that they get packaged where people are giving the taxpayers are paying for this stuff, and you've got all these outfits that are getting grants and all kinds of things, i.e. to feed the folks.
Sure.
But hey, what about all this trash? How much money is this costing the taxpayers to pick up this trash?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the homeless issue is a multi-million-dollar industrial complex.
Yeah, as if to say they don't want to solve the problem.
Exactly.
They don't want to solve the problem.
Exactly. And then you've got Jessica Vega Peterson, who can't seem to make a decision. She's come under a lot of criticism because she takes her sweet time, she procrastinates, she can't seem to make any really solid decisions about creating policy that will actually help the homeless people. And then what was it recently? She said that they wanted to invest $2 million in doing more studies to determine the causes of homelessness. We don't need to waste $2 million on doing another study about what causes homelessness. We know what causes homelessness. What causes homelessness is alcohol, drugs, mental illness. That's it.
That's right, exactly.
That's it, So I'm frustrated.
And even, with all due respect, even the housing issue. Let's talk about that now. The mayor just they picked a new site now.
Yeah.
It's going to be up in North Portland.
Of course,
on the east side. North Portland on the east side.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Southeast North
Portland. And then here we go again.
Yeah.
They already can see what we've already done. From the standpoint, you get drugs around the area. There's more crime around the area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we're going to be looking at the same thing here.
Yeah.
And so, the key is that, as far as I'm concerned, is not the person has to have a head. You have to have a place to sleep or whatever.
Right.
But the key is that they haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well, one of the issues with these homeless with these shelters, these rest shelters that they're running, is that a lot of the people that are working there are they're recovering addicts, and they're relapsing.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are running these shelters, these rest shelters, and there's 2 or 3 of them out where Dawn and I live on the east side. They're being run by these, drug and alcohol counselors who are struggling themselves with addiction, and in many cases they're relapsing. And Angela Todd of PDX Real is one of the people that brought that to light. Angela Todd and her husband run PDX Real, which is an Instagram page. They have, they're on Twitter. They are also on YouTube, and they cover stories that the Portland media doesn't want to cover.
Okay.
So they're a wonderful resource.
Really?
I follow them every day. I look at their YouTube. I look at their Instagram mostly.
What is that website? What do you
It's called PDX Real.
PDX Real?
REAL.
Okay.
And the idea is that they're covering stories that are real. They're covering
Okay.
the real issues that the Portland media refuses to cover because, as I've always said, I've always maintained Portland is a really small town and we don't have very good media because they don't want to cover these hard stories. We have a crisis in the homeless community with rape. Homeless women are being raped on a nightly basis. There are 3 or 4 of these serial rapists, and the Portland Police Bureau, I'm sorry, they're not doing enough to address that. They're not talking about it. They're not directly creating a discussion about this issue.
Right.
So we've got all of these things, are basically the result of no law and order because District Attorney Mike Schmidt does not prosecute violent, predatory criminals. It's very discouraging. It just makes me really, really angry.
Well, now with the reorganization of the city, that's going to be a very interesting piece. I mean, and we've been around long enough to you would think we would have been knowledgeable about what we're looking at.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of what's going to happen. But realistically, it's still confusing. I mean, when you think about it, you're going to have 3 people per district. We're going to have the districts, 3 people per district. And then, so what are you going to do with the bureaus? I guess we're going to have a city manager now, right? Who's going to be basically running the bureaus. You would think that person should be on board now. Now, is that an elected position or is that an appointed position by the mayor that's going to be coming on?
Yeah. But I've heard that the city manager will have more power than the mayor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that person should be on now. And then you ask yourself the question, well, now, in the transition period, the mayor has made the point he's not going to be running again. But the other
I don't blame him.
But the other commissioners are all running and using the prop for the visuals.
Yeah.
They're running for office now.
Yeah.
They're really not spending time with the bureaus.
Yeah.
The bureau chief. But so I think that's one of the reasons why the mayor, and I think I saw that when the mayor said, well, he's thinking about taking all the bureaus and running. And that's what he's doing now. In fact, when you look at the live meetings that they're having, he's basically the guy that's really interacting, and he responds to the folks that are talking this, that, and the other with some. But the rest
You mean
of them,
Ted?
Yeah. But the rest of them are not doing anything.
Yeah.
If you hear what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Mingus Mapp is a good individual. He's going to be running for mayor.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, that he might.
He's running for mayor, but all due respect, I think he got to go down a notch and pick up a little bit more experience and run for one of the district positions.
Yeah.
Because he's just that's not his lane, the mayorship aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you can run for anything. Anybody can run for anything. Mickey Mouse can run. What I mean, they do that too. A lot of folks do. But I'm not trying to. I'm just saying that. These are very important positions.
Oh yeah, I mean it's historic the way the city government is going to be changing with this new way they're going to do government. I don't even understand it. I mean I say this, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I personally hate politics because it's so complicated, it's so divisive. I'm not really a person that's really naturally interested in politics, but in the last 3 or 4 years, I have found that I've had to become involved, at least writing editorials and doing podcasts, because things are so crazy.
It is.
Our leaders are so bad. I mean, Mike Schmidt is so awful, you know. But I've learned a lot about politics from 2 journalists. I should do a plug for them. Richard Cheverton and Pamela Fitzsimmons write for a newsletter called Portland Dissent, and it's available on Substack. And I've learned a lot about politics from their editorials and their commentaries, and how complicated it is. They're both amazing journalists, and I've learned a great deal from reading their articles. But politics, it's so complicated. It's not really my natural thing, you know, that I would gravitate towards.
But this helps having the kind of discussion we're having here now, because imagine that actually layperson is having some worse problems. They're just going to be sitting up there from the standpoint of picking the apples. Once they get the flyer in the mail, basically put together by a media group, if you will, if not that, or a PR firm, right? Got me? And then all of a sudden you got another person who's maybe now OJT in the job.
Right.
Well, then we don't need OJTs, right? So I would suggest, you know, from the media, I'll say them all, Willamette Week, Observer, everybody for that matter. Put a listing of the issues. Talk about the issues that are going to have to be of major concern, and then lay that out to the public as a whole. And tell folks, if you want to run for office, you got to be able to relate to some of these issues as far as solutions. And we're not doing that now. See, we're not doing that now. We need some help, because otherwise it's just the salary. They're going for the salary aspect of it. And
sure. I mean, that's the thing. That's the attraction.
That's the attraction.
That's the attraction of politics, is the money.
But we got to change that. They need to start focusing on the issues and telling the public point blank, hey, if you got some solutions for these kind of issues, if you've been involved, if you got a resume according please. And they should keep doing that repeatedly, aspect of it. So when people wants to run for office, got my point, then we have some way of looking where we're going. But other than that, we're going to have some real major problems.
Yeah, that's my issue with so many of these people that are running for office and that are getting involved in politics, and also it's the anti-police sentiment.
That's right.
You know, we've learned from this experiment that defunding the police does not work. We've learned from 2020. Everyone was horrified because of what happened to George Floyd. You know, who wasn't horrified by that situation?
That's right.
And I understand why it created this national trend towards defunding police departments, but it didn't work. It's not every society on this planet is going to need a police department. Every society on this planet is going to need jails and prisons, because there are so many people that can't function. They're violent, they're predators, and that's simply that's the way life has always been. Prisons and jails have existed since ancient times, you know, and so the anti-police sentiment has to go. I understand why it exists. You know, because there's always going to be a bad cop. You know, but that's what internal affairs is for. You know, they weed out those bad. I know you have your views on internal affairs.
Well, the other main point was that they are law enforcement officers.
Yeah, right.
See, in fact, the media should be pushing that now, as opposed to just saying policing, and they can do, you know, they're this, and that. No, they're law enforcement officers. This is what they do. And here's the policy.
Yes, because if they don't enforce the law, the natural inclination of most people is to push the envelope and do, you know, oh, screw that law, that traffic law. I'll just speed. I'm in a hurry. You know, that's why societies break down, and we've seen that happen in Portland.
See, that's the deterrent part.
Yeah.
See, and they need to know about that deterrent, and people will acknowledge the deterrent piece aspect of it. But right now, it's just, hey, look, I can do anything I want to do. In fact, if excuse the French, if I go and murder somebody, all I do is just go out and write a book. I got 3 meals a day. I got a roof over my head. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you don't see no sense of, well, I'm not going to do that. I mean, because people don't look at the media too much. You know what I mean? I liked the idea when the paper was being given out for free. But they do need the monies, if you will, to put that. But we need that kind of stuff so people will pick it up, you know, and look at something.
The Portland Tribune is actually a pretty good newspaper. It's I mean, the Oregonian is a joke as far as I'm concerned, and Willamette Week is a joke, and the Mercury is hilarious. It's even more of a joke. The only good newspaper Portland has anymore is the Portland Tribune. But it's just everything, you know, everything is breaking down. But I think that there is hope. I think that we can restore Portland to its former
we got to work on it.
livability.
Right.
You know, if we could get back to the way things were in 2017 or 18, we'd be doing great.
That'd be great. That'd be
you
great.
know?
That's great. Well, that's why we're spending the time that we're
Yeah.
spending right now, because I'm going to continue doing the shows from the standpoint of trying to focus on the issues.
Yes.
And trying to get the media to respond to that particular
Yeah.
standpoint, and for them to get out of their personality politics and national politics and focus on that piece, because the kind of leadership that we're in need of right now in the city of Portland. And if we don't do that, we're going to have chaos in our area. Got my point? And so we need those people, if you will. And that's a major piece. But they're going to have to figure out. We got the bureau chiefs that are waiting. They know their jobs.
Yeah.
How are they going to divide their represent? Now, if they say, well, okay, fine, you got 4 different districts, right? And you got 3 people, then you take a segment of each of the bureau's responsibility. You got my point?
Yeah.
And identify each of those individuals with certain
Right.
focus point for that respective district.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It's going to be a challenge because of this new change, and there's going to be conflicts. I think the first thing that government should do, the city government, is create a code of conduct. Create a code of conduct for discourse, because there's going to be so many more, all of these districts like you're talking about, and just the way Portland government is going to be changing with this new system that I really just don't even really understand. But there needs to be at least a code of conduct written so that people understand that they can't just flip out and start yelling and screaming at each other, that they have to communicate respectfully, because there's going to be all of these additional people and leaders, and then there's going to be the inevitable power struggles, you know. So
Well, Willie is doing some of that now. He's doing some of that now. And hopefully he can maybe formalize that a bit more, you know what I'm saying, and talk about that, because because it's interesting how the 3 minutes given to the public in the county, that you can just come up and sign up.
yeah.
And on the other hand, with the city of Portland, it's just the opposite. You have to fill out the form and identify specifically what you're going to be talking to.
Right.
Now, naturally, I'm objecting to the 3 minutes. I mean, there's no way in the world a person can. There's no way. I think they've got to come up with a whole new form.
It's terrible. It's
insulting.
like 3 minutes to stand and speak before the king.
That's right. That's right.
It's
that's
insulting. Yes.
And then the way it's done from the city standpoint, you have to go in, fill it out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, what you do, and then they get it, and then if they like you,
Right.
they will respond to you to keep you there beyond the 3 minutes.
Right.
And the other folks forget it.
Right, exactly.
So
There's a
they-
lot of discrimination that goes on
Very
in
much
those
so.
in those meetings when people speak.
Exactly.
And Jessica Vega Peterson has interrupted a lot of people, and there's a lot of passive aggressive behavior that goes on in those meetings.
Both the city and the county.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're different to a certain degree. But still, that 3 minute piece is not.
The 3 minutes
not,
is
They got to
ridiculous.
come up with a whole.
People
new-
need at least 4 minutes. But
Easy.
3 minutes is like
Easy.
they try to rush through it.
Exactly.
They get discombobulated. They
Exactly.
forget to say something. It's
Exactly.
insulting.
Exactly. And
It's
then-
like they're made to feel like they're
Right.
peons.
And then responsible people won't go.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of times it's just stress and this, that, and the other. And you, well.
And that gives these politicians this sense of power,
Yes.
that they can just do what they
Yes.
want.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and that's another thing that I object to.
So I hope that when they're looking at they need to be we need to be talking about what's going to happen when these folks get on the ground.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they got 4 districts. The bureaus are going to be handled by the manager. Was it the person who's going to be not
The city manager?
City manager.
Yeah.
He's going to be basically handling,
Yeah.
he or she
Yeah.
will be handling that whole piece aspect of it. But those bureau chiefs, they've got the knowledge. We hire these people. They do go through a process of vetting and whatever, right? You got me? And the person who's going to be has got to be knowledgeable enough to be able to respect these individuals to get that information out to the taxpayers, the citizens, and do the work, right?
Yeah.
Now, so where are these city commissioners? How do they fit into the whole deal? Are they just going to be communicators or be picking up the phone? Now, hopefully, I will say one thing: you might get your phone call answered real fast if you got 3 people in your district.
Yeah,
You know them,
exactly.
and they're going to be living in that area.
Right.
That's another thing. You're going to know where their address
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
In fact, as far as I was concerned, I know that they are thinking about restructuring the downtown city where they are now, the city
Yeah.
hall. But well, you should put them in the districts.
You know, I remember a few years
Put 'em in the
ago,
districts.
you were talking about this very thing,
Yeah,
and you were
yeah.
saying how this is the change that needed to take place
Yeah.
in the city government. And you talked about it for years,
Yeah.
about having representatives for each district,
Yeah.
and then here we are,
Yep, here we
and
are
the
doing it.
changes are finally made.
That's right.
And you've been talking about it for 10 years.
And they're still putting them now downtown.
Yeah, yeah,
See, as far as I'm concerned, put them in each district.
yeah.
You got boundaries. A person will know, hey, this is the address.
Right.
You can go right up to this particular address,
Yeah.
and we've got facilities within the districts that they can house there.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying? Don't put them downtown back in.
right, right.
But then we're going to
exactly.
spend millions to refurbish the building. I don't know who picked that site aspect of it, and they could. Well, that's another situation.
So much is happening.
There's a
It's
lot of things happening.
It's hard to keep up.
Right. But I would still invite the mayor to come, and you know, and hopefully he'll be able to look at the show, and even the other commissioners. You know, if you're going to run for office, okay, you're going to run for office, and maybe you need to just run for office because we need some responsibility. And maybe you can start educating and start talking
Yeah.
about the issues
Yeah.
aspect of it. Because just using the Wednesday slots or the commission meetings just to promote your own self.
Yeah.
You got me? And when I see a city commissioner going after the government money to raise the money, as opposed to, I mean, what's that all about?
Oh, and the other story another recent story is that Jessica Vega Peterson is in trouble because she hasn't been completely transparent about how the funds are being spent. So she got in trouble with some agency. This was just recently.
Oh yeah.
I wondered when that was going to happen
Yeah.
because I feel like there are people taking advantage.
Well, they're not in the right lanes.
Yeah,
They're not familiar with the issues and
Yeah.
what they need to do aspect of it, and it's really a sad note aspect of it. And
Yeah.
hopefully, and we were not trying to. I'm not trying to knock them personally. Is that the seat that you're sitting in has a responsibility that we have to.
sometimes you have to knock them personally.
Well, that's what we're doing indirectly.
I have no problem knocking Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, right.
He's
right,
awful.
Right.
He's an elitist.
Right,
He's a
right.
narcissist.
Right.
He is tone deaf. He can't even face reality about his own life. And he has done so much damage to the city of Portland. So I have no problem knocking him at all.
Okay. Well, you indirectly, you're basically making the point about the fact he's not dealing with the issues
Yes.
that are laid out.
He doesn't understand the
Well,
issues.
that's it. Well,
He doesn't understand why public safety is important. He's clueless.
Well,
you
Mike,
know?
I think you need to come on the show. You know, you need to come here and sit down here, and we'll chat with you.
Yeah, come
You
on
know,
the show,
You
Mike.
never know; it's not over. You are running for office. I mean,
Right.
So now you just answer those questions. I mean, we got to deal with policy, right? And their issues, right? You got me?
Well, what I've heard is that Mike Schmidt has never prosecuted a case. Isn't that right? He's never.
I don't know. He's afraid of the courtroom.
He doesn't.
He's not a confident
Yeah.
prosecutor.
Yeah, he doesn't like to go in the
He doesn't know how
courtroom.
to prosecute, so he doesn't.
He doesn't like to be in the hot seat.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a prosecutor like Nathan Vasquez is a prosecutor. I mean, the reality is Nathan Vasquez and Amber Kinney have more experience in the district attorney's office than he does. I don't know why people thought he would be a good choice.
Well,
You
that's
know?
that's the way all politicians are in this town. I mean, you can look at all of them. Well, elected to a certain
Yeah.
degree. You got my point?
Yeah.
And there's nothing, and that's why we're talking about this whole issue of the media should be addressing this now.
Yeah.
Making it very specific. What are the issues
Right.
that we're faced with? And day in and day out and day in and day out, and interview those folks now.
Right.
Anybody wanting to run for office, hey, read the Observer, read the Willamette Week, read the Tribune and whatever, and then hopefully these folks can get interviewed by those Willamette
Yeah.
Week, you know, Oregonian,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards. But we're not doing that right now. But that's what they need to be doing right
Sure.
now, today.
Yeah.
If we're going to get back to the city of roses.
Right.
Because I don't want to be
Right.
moving anywhere.
I don't want to leave.
It's ridiculous.
you
I don't want to
know?
leave here. I don't want to.
I don't want to move. I've lived in Portland my whole life. So has Dawn. You know, and I just want things to get back to normal. You know, and we need a competent DA for that to happen, and better politicians.
And by the way, I was going to add the other thing. You got the Oregon Voters Digest here. You got Teresa and you got Don here and whatever. But the bottom line is that something's, I'm just sitting in the seat. It's the Oregon Voters Digest. So the bottom line is that if you're interested in running for office, give me a call.
Yeah.
And come over here and we'll talk about the piece.
Yeah.
But if you don't have anything to say, and if you don't have a resume, you're wasting your time.
Right.
Because I don't want to embarrass you up here. I mean,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to. We're in need of leadership, right?
Right.
We're in need of leaders. You got me? I've been running for years, and in all due respect, I've been doing it only in the primary because I didn't have the background, if you will, to deal in that of the seat. The elected seat.
Yeah.
Today, I'm very familiar with a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
if you will, and I'd like to just be here as an advocate to help a person to develop the leadership aspect of it. Got
Yeah.
me? Because in all due respect, what I've been doing over the years running for office, it's almost like you've seen these racing events aspect of it. There's always a pace car, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I've been. I've been a pace car. But I'd like to stay a pace car. But if I have to run, I'll have to run.
Yeah.
So right now, my focus right now is the city of Portland, the city of Roses. Bring back those positives. Bring it back so Don and I can go downtown and have a good cup of coffee there in downtown Portland. There's a little park there.
And feel safe.
And feel safe. And feel
Jeez.
safe. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. You see?
Exactly.
You see? And in fact, if I were elected today, you know what I would do? First off, we talked about this before. Don ran for county sheriff.
2006.
Yeah, he sure did. He ran. In fact, I interviewed him.
And he got a good percentage of the vote.
He sure did. See, but the bottom line, but the media didn't give him the
Right.
just due. See what I'm saying? But today, we're here today aspect of it, and as far as I'm concerned, if I'd ran for the mayor and Don was here, I said, okay, Don, you're gonna be chief. Now let me tell you the first thing we're going to do. We're going to put metal detectors on all the main streets coming in downtown Portland. Checkpoints. Don, get it done. Boom. Now, what do you mean? You got to get out your car. Otherwise, we got a bicycle, right? But you're going to go through those metal detectors.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
That clean. I'm just throwing something
I
out
know.
from the standpoint of saying it's ridiculous
I know.
that a person should be shooting, blah, blah, blah. And one aspect of it, in fact, I've got some folks talking about as far as weapons are concerned. We're very familiar with weapons. I am too. But the bottom line is that there's a responsibility that goes along there. We're not shooting animals and all that.
Yeah.
Let's be responsible again.
Yeah.
Aspect of it. So I got some folks going to be talking about that also too.
That's a really important issue. Guns.
Yeah.
The Portland police are trying to get guns away from homeless people
Exactly.
because there are a lot of homeless criminals.
Yes. Oh,
that
yes.
have hot
yes.
guns.
Yes.
And they're using them to intimidate people.
Exactly.
They're using them to rape women.
Yeah,
they're using
exactly.
them to rob people
Exactly.
and kill people.
Exactly.
So that's a
Exactly.
really important part of the work that the PPB does.
And then pick them up. That's the other thing I was going to tell Don. Don, we're going to have a committee, and what we need to do, we're going to get the National Guard, get them at the table, and we're going to talk about this piece. And want to pick up all the homeless. Want to pick them all up, everybody. Pick all. We're going to go to Clackamas County, make a deal with the county up there, and tell them we're going to bring everybody there, and we're going to vet them. We're not putting you in jail. We're just going to vet you. But we're going to have, my point is, and then we're going to have the cops. We're going to pick up all of the guns. We're going to pick up everything up, clean them up, find out who's worked before, who they are.
Right.
We need to know exactly who they are.
Exactly who they are.
Exactly who they are.
If they're wanted from out of state, if they
That's
have
right.
warrants,
That's right.
then they need to be extradited to go out of
right.
state.
That's right.
And a lot of them are wanted.
And what's so neat about this concept that I'm talking about? We'll only have one homeless camp. It's the largest facility for the National Guard.
Yeah.
It's the people's deal. And the bottom line is that we vet them out, we'll feed them, the medical, all that other good stuff. But we'll be able to respond to something, and we'll clean the place up overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight. Don't understand that, right? Got me? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I like it.
It might be crazy, but I think that's the only. You don't need to be building these so-called homeless camps in neighborhoods.
Yeah, the
That's
rest
insulting.
villages, the rest.
You just don't do it.
Yeah, and of course they're on the east side because none of these rest villages would be on the west side.
That's right,
God
that's right,
forbid.
that's right.
God forbid they were on the west side.
That's right. Well, the first thing I would do if I should run for office, I'll run for something, and part of that campaign will be, I tell you, the first thing we'll do, we're going to dismantle them.
Yeah.
The first day I get on, we're going to dismantle them all, and we're going to find one spot where everybody has to go and get vetted.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be able to pick up all the weapons, right? All that stuff. If you got a legal weapon, guess what? It'll be stored for you. And then when you get you got a job and you got a place to stay, we'll call family members, all kind of things.
There's one of these rest villages that's opening for RVs and for campers, and many of these guys don't even have a license. And so the city's not even making sure that if anyone goes to those rest villages, that they have a license for their vehicle. That should be the number one priority.
Those
If they don't have a license, those vehicles should be impounded.
That's right. That's right. And they've got numbers on them to
Yeah,
begin with. Go
exactly.
back, whether they go back to the manufacturer
Yeah.
or whatever, find out who owned them,
Right.
who
Right.
gave them to them, right?
Whether or not they're stolen.
and then you find them. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things to be discussed.
Yes.
You see, I mean, we might be gesturing about this, now, but it's a serious time. Now's the time
Yeah.
to go on and get it done.
Yeah.
So all you Portlanders, you know, if you're voting for office, you are going to be voting it. Be responsible this time around. You just make sure you inquire about those individuals that are knocking on your door or getting a flyer that looks good, but look behind that looking good aspect of it. Do they have the qualification to lead?
Right.
We need responsible leaders. Wouldn't you say so, Don?
Yes, absolutely.
We got a couple more minutes. I want you to make the last statement.
It's
Come
absolutely.
on, talk to us.
The voters in Multnomah County have not done a good job in recent years of electing people who are doing a good job.
Yeah.
They have Cole Daly, Steve Novick, John Hardesty to point to as failed leadership, and they didn't vote for me for sheriff. If they'd have voted for me for sheriff, Wapato would have been open as a
That's
jail.
right.
In
There we go.
2006.
And we made
30 years
I
ago.
heard that. Yes, heard that. I heard that.
That's how foresighted I was.
And I think about Dan Nolan. Remember Dan? Dan was a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a former Portland police, and then he became he went to the sheriff
Don't go
department.
too far down.
But he may be looking to show. We might want to bring Dan in there because he was the one that did the Wapato piece, right?
Yeah.
Dan did the Wapato piece, and he couldn't get the monies, if you will, to staff it.
Yeah.
It got to be political, right?
Yeah.
And we still got that building. Then we sold it. We gave it to someone
cheap.
For a
so
song.
cheap. So cheap. I bet you couldn't buy it from the Stickles
Yeah.
for no. Was it for? I mean, how much? $5 million. It was-
Right.
it
And
was
it cost
100.
51.
100
Didn't it cost 51 million to make?
Yes, but
And they
guess
sold
what? It's
it for $5
appreciated.
million.
But it appreciated.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
property and all this stuff, about $100 million right now.
Sure.
He was smart because all the utilities were already there.
Yeah, it was already there.
The electricity was there, the plumbing was there.
He sold the equipment that was in there for $5 million. We got his books back. It's really a sad situation. Now we got to.
But it's being used now as a drug treatment facility, and they're doing pretty well. Yeah.
But they're asking for grant money from the county.
Right. And the county said no, and I think recently they agreed that they would provide some assistance because it's got a 75% success rate. Because what's his name? What's the guy's name?
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
You know,
Gordon.
Did a-
Gordon.
Jordan.
Jordan.
Stickle. Was it? Well, maybe,
So
about a
many
minute.
names to
we
remember.
better bring Wapato back to the table because as far as I'm concerned, they ought to trade that piece of property they got homeless downtown. Trade it. It should be just the opposite, if you know what I'm saying. Because those people are working supposedly.
But it does have a 75% success rate for maintaining people's sobriety.
I got to see it. I'm nowadays. I want to tell them to come on the show
Yeah.
and see what they got going for themselves.
Jordan, what was his last name?
Stickles.
Jordan. No, it's not Peterson. It's something else.
Some of the guy who owns the building.
Yeah, he's the rich guy who owns the building and the business.
Oh my God! Well, we got some work
Jordan
to
something
do.
or other. There's so many names to remember, and I'm not a politician. I'm just
Oh, George, he's been
struggling
around.
to keep up.
He's paying. He's looking for good renters. He's looking for good renters, so he's trying to get some money to pay his
Yeah.
rent. But he only paid $5 million for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're at the point of the deal. We've said a lot. I want to thank you all for being here with me. And
This was fun.
and
Thank you for having us.
This has been great. We're going to continue to do this,
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah.
because we got to make sure that we get to the voters
Yes.
of what their responsibilities should be and how they should vote. We want to influence that piece.
Yes, and if my book ever comes out,
Oh yeah, we're gonna get that book.
Your
We gotta
book
get
is
that.
out.
That's a very important piece. And now we're talking about police officers, right?
Yes.
Law enforcement officers. Remember that. A whole new day. And hey, chief and the union, if the unions are paying the bill, buy them a uniform, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it would do a good thing to get the police back, the respect back on
In a nice blue uniform.
in a nice blue uniform.
Yeah. Blue uniform.
With a rose on the
Right.
on the cars and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So that they look like peace officers
Good.
instead of ninjas.
Have a good one. We'll see you next week, folks. Take care. Enjoy. Happy Halloween.